All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. So Richie Faulkner, guitarist from Judas Priest, has what's called an undisclosed major medical heart condition. Now, what's interesting here is the term major is the first word, means it's probably a pretty big deal. Medical, which is a bit redundant, heart, and then condition. So it's undisclosed. We don't know what's causing it. Richie Faulkner is 41 years old. He is the guy who replaced KK Downing in Judas Priest. And, KK is doing well with his band right now called KK's Priest. Not sure how he got away with naming the band that, but he did. I'm just surprised there aren't lawsuits flying around. Maybe there are. Anyway, the announcement says it is with deep regret that we have to postpone the rest of the U.S. tour. This comes from Judas Priest. Richie Faulkner has major medical heart condition issues. This wording to me just raises all kinds of red flags, which have landed him in the hospital where he is being treated. In the meantime, we are all sending love to our Falcon to wish him a speedy recovery. A timetable for when the band may resume performing was not given. As soon as we have any updates from his doctors or when we can reschedule the dates, we will, of course, announce them. The tickets will be valid for the makeup dates. And of course, last year, the Metal Icons had intended to hit the road for their 50th anniversary tour, but those plans were postponed due to government lockdowns. That's the way I'm reading it. It says something else, but it's the government who basically says you can't do this or that, or the venue, which is essentially an extension of either the federal or local or state governments, depending on how many ties they have to the government. Right now, there's a real incestuous relationship between businesses and the government. The government says, we won't make you do that. And then they basically give money to the local institutions and say, you guys implement it. That way we don't take the fall for it. So that's why you have large corporations really acting as if they're governments, and they're not. So people need to kind of wake up to that. But anyway, Richie Faulkner is 41 years old. He appeared to be in really good health. So you know where I'm going with this, right? And I've done this in a few videos. And what's bizarre to me, right, is if this is really happening and they're not telling you, this is criminal. It's absolutely criminal. These are crimes against humanity. These omissions are frightening, because what it also demonstrates is that the media would rather cover for this than be intellectually honest. I mean, even if you dig in and you find out, yeah, this guy was, he had this genetic issue, so he was predisposed to this kind of thing. Because typically at 41 years old, if you're in good physical health, which Richie Faulkner appears to be in pretty good health, then this is kind of odd. And then you list it as a major medical heart condition issues. Condition and issues. I mean, you keep throwing words onto it. Well, it's this major medical heart condition thing. It's okay. It's all right. He's going to be fine. And we wish him well. We got to postpone the tour. And okay, these institutions, whether it's these corporate bands, or because that's what they are, they're corporations as well. Judas Priest is a corporation. The Comcast Center or the Infinity Center, wherever, whatever venue, okay, they're a corporation or they're owned by a corporation. Okay, so everybody has corporate interests here. This brand can't function because this person cannot perform. And all of these edicts and mandates came down from the bigger corporation, instructing the members of this other corporation to do what they're being told to do in order to perform and earn a living. Now, Richie Faulkner may have done the thing. We don't know. They don't obviously say that. They never put that in the article. They're trying to cover that up as much as they can. They're trying to keep away from those pesky statistics that don't actually support their daily narrative, which is insane. They're still doing it. You know, the numbers go down, for instance, right now where I live, the numbers are going down precipitously. But all they can say is, but we're not out of the woods. We're not out of the woods. And people need to go do the thing to ensure that those numbers continue to go down. Okay, I don't think that had anything to do with the fact that the numbers went up or the numbers went down. But there's this panic. There's abject fear and panic when the numbers start going up. And the level of fear porn that is out there is really going to be a long-term deterrent, whether I want to go see Judas Priest or any band for that matter. Why would I trust these corporations that aren't telling me the truth? Whether it's the news corporation, whether it's the management of this band, undisclosed major, they don't want people to know what it is. Well, why is that? You know, the last couple of years, you've seen all of these people who have checked out. They've left planet Earth. And from a philosophical standpoint, when you look at the way the world is right now, and if you do believe in the afterlife, I mean, these people might be in a much better place, right? But a lot of the details surrounding why they're not here anymore aren't ever disclosed, undisclosed. This is the new, blackout of information. Nobody mentions. And then if you do mention, and it is true, right? Well, that's just a coincidence. I mean, he did that months ago. He did that 8 weeks ago, or he did it back in March, whenever, and it's like, yeah, so so the time frame. So in other words, if the bomb is going to go off, it would go off what? Really quickly, like within 24 hours. Great. So what you're saying is if it's going to happen, it's going to happen right away, which is not very reassuring, right? None of this is reassuring. And it all demonstrates that the things that have been put forth, the way to deal with this particular problem, if it's not working, these people aren't willing to say this isn't working and that maybe we need to explore a new way of doing things. Or maybe you'd want to be really worried about these people that went out and did what they did. Now, of course, this isn't happening to everybody. I have a theory about that, and I'm not going to disclose it here. If you're on Patreon, you want to tap my brain on that, which there isn't much in there, but if you want to go ahead and pick my brain, I will be happy to engage you in a conversation about what I think is going on here. But with this particular guy who's 41 years old, Richie Faulkner, this seems very suspicious to me. And many of the other ones I've talked about, where no one's ever come forward later and said, this is what happened to them. Nope. It was pretty healthy, didn't have any indication. Now, when it comes to heart attacks and strokes and things like that, those can come out of the blue. But then you find out the person had high blood pressure, person had diabetes, the person had some underlying medical issue, which contributed to that. 41 years old, healthy guy. I don't know. Just it obviously raises a few red flags. I mean, of all the things I've seen thus far, this story is probably in the top 5 or 10% of those stories that you would scratch your head and you would go, yeah, that doesn't sound right. I mean, okay, there have been some fairly high profile people who have passed away this year. Some of them were, a bit older. 2 guys from Poco, those guys were in their 70s. And not to say that 70s is the end. I mean, look at Sammy Hagar, look at Paul McCartney, look at the guy I did the profile on yesterday, Ringo Starr, who's 80 years old, looks like he's reverse aging. Okay. I mean, whatever Ringo's doing, you probably want to, if you're a rock star, you probably want to do that, But the bottom line here is, again, this is the media kind of circling the wagons. And okay, so if you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, this is about the 7th or 8th thing I've seen in the last few months, really, where I've kind of looked at it and said, something's weird, something's fishy about this. And then if this guy doesn't make it, something happens to him, which God forbid, I'm praying for his speedy recovery, like I do with everybody, even if I disagree, like when Paul Stanley got the thing, or Gene Simmons, they both got it, right? I said, hope these guys recover. I hope they're going to be okay. That this isn't about trying to one up somebody on this particular issue. This is getting to the truth, finding out what's truly happening, so humanity can move forward and we can enjoy our lives and not be lied to each day. And even worse, make this into some kind of political issue where if you're over here, then you're against it. If you're over here, you're for it. What we ought to be working toward is a solution to the problem that is safe and that will work. Those are the things we should be looking for, but we're not. We've been told that this is the only thing you can do. And if you don't do it, we're going to ostracize you and make you feel kind of like a leper. We're just going to put you out to pasture, and you're going to be one of those science deniers, flat earth people. I think Gene Simmons said something like the Flat Earth Society. Okay. All right. Let's just hope Richie Faulkner is going to be all right. Again, he did replace KK Downing in Judas Priest. Judas Priest and their tour has been grounded, and obviously no word as to when things will get back up and running. It all depends on what's going on with Richie, but thoughts and prayers to Richie and his family for a true and speedy recovery.